Welcome, beautiful souls, to another episode of the Tools That Transform podcast. And today I have a special gift for you. I am delighted to share with you my friend and colleague, Risa Gall. Risa is a relationship and self-love expert for women, as well as an award-winning speaker and the creator of, let me get it right, it's a very lovely name, I love it. Freedom from codependency. That's the part I love. Freedom from codependency, the self-love solution. And she is going to share her immense wisdom for how to have a better relationship with yourself, how to have a better relationship with others, and much more with us today. So if you are trying to figure out in your relationship whether you should stay or go, how you can be in a loving relationship with yourself and others, you are in the right place. So settle in, get comfortable, and I am going to invite my friend Risa to say hello and to let us know what to expect from her today.
Hello, Sharada. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here with you today to share all about how do we love ourselves and how do we create the healthy kind of loving, fulfilling relationships that we want.
And have you always been in a happy, healthy, loving relationship with yourself and others? It begs the question, you know.
Oh, hell no.
Tell me more.
Yes. So, it's that I feel like that's really been my journey. Like so many of us, it's, for decades, just trying to figure out how can I love myself? How can I be in better relationship with myself? And it wasn't until I was aware. I didn't get married until I was 38 years old because I was aware I had these sort of codependent patterns. Like I didn't want my self-esteem, my sense of worth to be dependent on anybody else. So I was aware. I did a lot of, yeah, raise your hand, type in a chat if anybody can relate to this. It's just that my whole life feeling sort of plagued by that belief, like just feeling less than and not good enough, and just so limiting. And so, I mean, we're going to get into it, but what happened was I married a very nice man who about 7 years into our relationship relapsed into alcoholism and depression. I didn't know anything about alcoholism. And so I didn't realize, I honestly did not realize until that happened how much I was still depending on him to be that source of security for me, that source of love, validation, approval, sort of deriving my sense of identity from that relationship. So it was a gift. Now I can look back on it and tell you I'm really grateful for it because I ended up seeking out the coaching and getting the transformational coaching that I needed at the time to really finally learn how do I give that to myself? How do I love myself? How do I give myself the approval that I need? And I'm not always perfect. I'm on this journey right along with everybody else, but it's a relationship. And so, yeah.
It's interesting to me. You would think that self-love is natural. Like this is what we're born, but it appears I had to learn it. You had to learn it. I'm thinking we're not alone. What is it that causes us to get stuck in these patterns of codependence and in an unhealthy relationship with ourselves?
It's such a great question. And I will tell you, like, we are born loving ourselves, and little kids, if you see them, and we still have that, like, it really is our natural state to love ourselves. So that's, our core essence. Like, on one hand, we do, of course. If you didn't love yourself, you wouldn't be so miserable that you were entertaining all these beliefs that you don't. Does that make sense?
Point. The first sign that you want to love yourself, you're unhappy.
Right, because you know it's not true on some level. Your soul knows like you are worthy and beautiful, and that like we do love ourselves. And we can actually have a beautiful process at some point. We'll get into it's like a 2 minute beautiful, so just to get in touch with that core essence of you that knows you already do love yourself. So just take a breath into that, and we'll get into that. But what happens? We get it conditioned out of us. We're learned, especially girls. They've actually done some interesting studies, but how we are, we're really it's trained out of us. It gets conditioned out of us. We learn at a very young age what we have to do to please the big people around us who are taking care of us. So, we all come from different backgrounds, and I have a lot of women that I work with. Some come from more traumatic backgrounds than others, but so we learn, we learn what we have to do to please people and to not show up authentically and not be who we are in order to get the love and the approval we need, which we need. It's a survival strategy at that age. We need to make sure that we're keeping the adults happy who are taking care of us in order for us to survive whatever we needed to do. We adapt.
And
So
I
that's yeah.
cross we adults to children as much scarier than we think.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
taught elementary school, and when we would give children the time to be the teacher, they would be very strict and very stern and very exacting, and we would think, we're not like that, are we? But because we're small people, they're small people, all the big people feel scarier. They're much more important.
Yeah, and so we learn, and then we also learn, we sort of learn to treat ourselves how we were treated.
Mm.
And this isn't about blaming anybody, but it's just recognizing that, I believe everybody is just kind of doing the best they can with what they have at the time. And I feel like it is getting better, hopefully, in this day and age of parenting where people are so much more aware of emotional intelligence and different approaches to parenting than, maybe when you and I grew up. But I honestly, I don't know anybody that grew up with like all the love, all the approval, all the validation for, who you are to just grow up with a really intact, whole sense of self that we're born with. And, parents are human. So, um, that's what happens. So just, I guess the main point is just understand, like, let's take a breath and just, can you just no, like really hear this, like it's not your fault. Like there's good reasons why we develop these patterns. We all have them. We all have these limiting beliefs that we picked up from early childhood experiences. And so, that's just, if you can just first of all recognize, like, just give yourself a break. There's good reasons why. And we all have them. We all have these patterns. We all have our stuff.
Yeah, and we were being taught and trained to these things before we even knew who we were, in
Mm-hmm.
a way. Um, so, I know that you've worked with a lot of women, and a lot of women in a variety of different relationship mixes. Um, I would love for you to tell us a story of a client who has gone through the process and what actually happened for them. Because what does it matter? Maybe I've been fine not loving myself for this long. Maybe I can get away with it.
Yeah, there's so many. I have women that I work with who are in relationships they're not happy with, and they're struggling with whether to stay or go. And then I also have clients that I work with who just recognize they're looking for a new love and midlife, and wanting to not repeat the same kind of patterns. And they were aware, like, I've got I want to be in better relationship with myself so I can attract and be that kind of partner that I want in my life. And so I'm just trying to think of an example. Yeah, so there's one woman that was looking for a new relationship, and thought she was in a pretty good place to receive that, but she didn't realize like how kind of closed off her heart still was, and that she was still really holding a lot of sadness and a lot of pain from her childhood. And the pattern that she had running was sort of one of self-sacrifice. Like, this is a really common one too, of just, for women, is like putting ourselves last on the priority list, feeling like I need to take care of everybody else before I can take care of myself. And, so, that's kind of, well, we can get into why that is, but that's, that's a really common one. And so we were able to just kind of unwind that. So she's now coming to it from a place where she feels like she is the love that she wants, that she needs, and she no longer feels like I don't need a man in my life to be happy. And I'm open to it. I would love that. It would be like the icing on my cake, but I'm not coming from a place of need, and my heart is open and I'm ready to really receive that next level love, because I'm already being that for myself. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see a whole addition because you have a very exciting training that we're going to talk about in a little bit. But I could see a whole special edition for
Mhm.
midlife women dating. I know
Mhm.
several of them. It's it's a very in your face kind of experience for folks. When we're needy and we're out there dating, what's the problem? I mean, if you don't need someone, are you ever going to really find someone? Don't you supposed to need someone? Why is needing someone a problem?
Yeah, well, I think we're setting ourselves up for disappointment and challenges in our relationship, because when we're coming into it feeling like I need somebody else to like rescue me in some way or fill some void in me, then nobody can do that for you. And even if that's our own job. So we're already coming into it. We're setting ourselves up for failure, for disappointment, because everybody, like I said, everybody's just human, and everybody's just kind of doing the best they can to make themselves happy. It's our job. It's our job to, come to that place where we can feel whole and happy with ourselves and love who we are. And again, it's not like perfect. It's not going to be perfect, but I mean, I've just grown leaps and bounds. Like I'm finally at this stage in my life, feel like I can feel like that sense of wholeness and just really love for who I am and peace with who I am. And it's taken me a really long time. And it wasn't until I learned some of these specific transformational tools, as I know we're going to share a little bit today, and I have more coming up that I can share too. But it's like we just don't have the tools we need
Mm.
to come into that good, right, loving relationship with ourselves. And I got off track. I forgot what your question was.
No worries. We're just, you know what? We have a lot of trains of thought here. We were talking about the pitfall of neediness.
Oh, right, right. Yes. So can you see like what the problem is if we come into a relationship from that place of need? And there's
Yeah.
no judgment. Like if you're like, and it's kind of cultural. Like most of us, I call it normalized codependency. We're taught, oh, well, you need that other half to make you complete. It's like,
Like,
right? Maybe that's getting better now too, but no, you're not a half a person, you're a whole person. You're not a puzzle that's missing a piece. It's like, no. So we're aiming for a healthy interdependence. Yes, we're human. We all want love. We all want approval. We all need people. We're social creatures. And but again, it's like you're the cake, the relationship's like the icing on the cake. And so when we come into it from a place of need, then it's just I call that kind of expectation, or that kind of need, a disappointment waiting to happen.
ooh, well,
Yeah.
you're setting up your own disappointment. Well, let's try to avoid that.
Yeah.
I think that I can hear someone out there going, but if I don't need people, well, then will I ever be truly available for a relationship? Like, if I'm truly loving myself, why would I bother to have a relationship or want one?
It's a personal choice.
Mm.
You don't have to have a relationship to be happy. I think most of us when we get um all the stuff out of the way that's making us afraid or not be able to show up really vulnerably or authentically, or for whatever reason, the beliefs are. But I think, you don't have to though. Like we can have lots of loving relationships in our lives. It doesn't have to be like with one intimate partner. So I think that's a personal choice.
So being out of need actually empowers us to be able to make a choice, where it sounds like when we're behind the veil of need, we're not able to make as authentic a choice, is what that sounds like to me. Like it
Yeah,
our
yeah.
thinking.
Yeah, that's a really good distinction because it's just us being able to feel empowered. I can choose, I can, if I find somebody, or I can know that I'm going to attract somebody who's vibrating on the same frequency as me, who's going to, I can consciously choose to bring someone into my life who's going to be a good complement, who I'm compatible with, who's going to add to my life and just make it all the more beautiful and all the more rich. And I don't need to come with, if I'm coming from a place of need, I don't need to settle. I don't need to compromise myself and who I am in any way. And relationships are really just, I mean, they bring that, um, that much more richness, or they can bring much more richness and beauty into our lives, but they're also growth. They're also, I believe, they're also for our personal growth because you, when you're in an intimate relationship with somebody, whatever, it's just gonna, that's, I feel like that's one of the sacred functions of relationship is like we trigger each other. We highlight the things that within us, the wounds that are still coming up for healing. And so if we are fortunate enough to, get the support and the tools we need to approach it from a really conscious place and to be with someone else who can be work with us consciously that way and have really good communication, we can really facilitate that growth for each other. But it's not a piece of cake, that's for sure. Although that's funny that I said that given the analogy that I gave you. But
Maybe we're a little hungry. You just said something that was the first time I've heard anybody say this way. And I'd love to know a little bit more about how you feel about this. You said one of the sacred functions of relationship. And I
Mm,
think that, we all have a lot of very practical reasons for relationships. You get in a better tax bracket. You have someone to help you with the house chores. There's a lot of practical reasons to be in a relationship. But I'd love to know a little bit more about what the sacredness of a relationship can be.
yeah, I married a man for a lot of practical reasons because he seemed to check off all the boxes. And but the universe, I don't feel like there's any accidents. The people that we bring into our lives, that we attract into our lives, are really, if we're willing to take responsibility for ourselves and be honest and look within ourselves and flip that mindset of, instead of like, why is this happening to me? Understand this is happening for me. And what is my opportunity to learn here? That was my whole experience in my marriage. So if we're willing to go within and ask, wow, like recognizing, we call it triggers as treasures. And again, this is the kind of stuff that usually requires some tools, some support, some coaching to understand how to work with, to recognize, first of all, like, wow, what is it in me? Like when somebody does something or says something that really makes me angry or really is creating really hurt my feelings or creating resentment. It's like we have to have the tools we need to process our own emotions and then be willing to look at, okay, what is it in me that's really getting triggered, and sort of clean up our own side of the street, because it's really easy to point fingers and go into blame or judgment about that other person, or resentment. But again, if we're willing to just take a breath and notice when we're not happy in a relationship, then I always say, like, we can use it like a mirror. It's a reflection back of how, really our relationship with ourselves. And, where am I? Like, maybe I'm not with a partner who's showing up for me in the way that I want, but how am I showing up for me? Can I sit with myself and have the tools I need to have all my feelings be welcome, and to look, at what are some of the wounds, some of the deeper wounds that have created this, me wanting to be with this person in the first place, or, um, just seeing
Mhm.
where do I need to strengthen my boundaries? Where do I need to be able to love that part of myself first?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes, so often it's illuminating the places that we don't love about ourselves. You
Mhm.
said another very interesting thing. This is why I love to talk with you. You always have these beautiful little gems that just come out. You have to really pay attention. You were talking about triggers
Mm.
and coaching.
Mm.
You and I are both very good friends of our nervous system, and everybody in my world is all about a healthy, balanced nervous system. And trauma and triggers are by definition things that you do not see about yourself. Now we
Mhm.
can get to the point where we start to recognize, oh, that pushes my buttons. But it is, especially when it comes to triggers and the kinds of tricky traumas that play in that world, it's really something you need to be with another human being to be able to see.
Mhm.
That person can be in your relationship. That relationship can be your coaching relationship. But we are social animals. We get these bumps and bruises in relationship, and we need some kind of healthy relationship to see our way out. So, how is it that your coaching process, especially oh, I want to get it right, the freedom from codependency?
Mhm.
Because I will, one of the reasons that that's very important to me is I have family members who have gotten lost in codependency.
Mhm.
So I understand the depths of what it can cost, and being free from that is not an easy thing to do. So how does coaching set us up for that freedom?
Yeah, so I love what you're saying, is because, all this stuff that we're talking about, it really does require support. It does require coaching support. And I'm not just saying that to sell my services, but it's just, I have a coach, like we all need coaching support. And, it's like the fish in the water. You can't see what you can't see, or like you can't read the label from the inside of the jar, right?
I love that.
And it's not easy, like all the, the stuff where we have these, especially if you come from a traumatic background, it's not easy. But I have, one of my clients told me that, she came from a pretty traumatic background, and she told me, just after like a couple sessions, she said, you know what, Risa, I just got more healing, more transformation out of that 1 hour with you than I did in like 10 years of therapy. Because we're not talking about the past, where this is the actually, I call it my inner freedom process. This is a specific tool that I use with my clients that, I'm going to share more about in an upcoming event. But it's really it's really about, it's a lot of it's inner child work, but it's accessing where you're, like, what's up for you right now. What, where, if you're experiencing a trigger, or, an emotional reaction, or you're struggling with your emotions right now around a particular situation, that's the access point, is the present moment. What's happening for you right now? Because whatever's happening for you, if it's coming up, it's up for healing. It's coming up to come out. And so we have this, guided process that I take people through, where you can, really, where again, it's not cognitive, somewhat cognitive, but I don't believe healing just happens on a cognitive level. And I'm sure you all know that too, from all the beautiful work you do around your nervous system.
We
So
call it a whole body sport here.
it's a whole body sport. Yeah. So we're working on all levels physically, tuning into the sensations mentally, emotionally. A lot of it's inner child, coming back to connect with the inner child and do some really beautiful healing, and then just learning how to embrace all aspects of ourselves, even the ones we hate, even the parts that we really don't like. Like that's been an interesting journey for me too. And I'm constantly learning how to, you know, get more comfortable. I think this is like the key to life. You guys want to hear the key to life? This is what I'm learning, is that I think we all just need to get good at feeling our feelings. And there's ways that we can do that. And it's so natural, it's so instinctual to not, that's our brain's protective mechanism, as you all probably know, is like we don't want to feel stuff that doesn't feel good, but then we end up suppressing it all. And I don't have to tell you then what happens and how toxic that is and creates all kinds of problems in the body. But this is really the key, is like, can I sit with myself and just have all my feelings be welcome, have some tools, have some support to really do that deeper healing work, and just be able to sit with myself in radical self-acceptance, coming from that place of non-judgment. And I'm feeling like this might be a good time to do our process.
I was just saying, is this the time? Because I'm feeling like I need to sit with myself.
Yeah. You guys ready?
Yes.
All right. This is at 2 minutes. So get comfortable in your chair. Take a moment to relax, breathe. You can close your eyes if you like, or just bring your attention within. We're going to just put both hands on the heart. Take a nice breath and just let yourself land here in this moment. Breathing fully and easily. And just noticing however you feel is okay. It's kind of now dropping our awareness down into the heart area. Just bring your awareness into the middle of your chest, behind your hands. And just breathe into your heart as if you could breathe right in through the backs of your hands, and just feel into your heart, your beautiful heart, your heart center. Releasing on the out breath. And we're just going to take a few nice deep breaths, getting out of our head, and just see if you can just breathe into your heart, really just feel your heart, your beautiful heart. Your heart center, that's your place of peace, of wholeness, of truth, higher wisdom, higher knowing, connection with all that is. And just give yourself a little love right now, a little appreciation for who you are as a beautiful human. And maybe you want to tell yourself, I love myself. Or just, maybe that doesn't feel true at all, but we're just going to bypass any conditioned patterns of thinking and just know that you do love yourself. Like we were saying, just like a little child, it's our natural state. You do love yourself. So just give yourself a little love right now, a little gentleness, a little compassion, a little appreciation. And one more nice deep breath into your beautiful heart. And breathing in all the love, all your own love, and all the love of the universe and the divine creator who created you. Knowing you are loved, you are held, you are supported, you are all that you need to be. You are worthy, you are good enough. And you have all you need. And then just imagine swallowing that energy down, letting the hands slide down the front of the body to the lower stomach, your center. As you relax and breathe and just drink that down like a warm drink of sunshine, warm healing energy in your belly. And let it just nourish your whole body, every cell, like warm golden energy, filling every cell, your whole body with this warm sunshine, love, essence, filling you up, feeling your wholeness, your perfection, your completeness in this now moment. And then whenever you're ready, you can just gently bring your attention back. And anytime you want to feel more calm, maybe you know this one is just even just by putting your hands on your heart automatically calms your nervous system. They've done some really good studies on that. And there's actually an acupressure point right in the center of your chest called the Sea of Tranquility. And just by putting your hands there, automatically calms you and stimulates oxytocin. So anytime you just want to feel a little more love for yourself and maybe your head's way in the way, you can put your hands on your head, on your heart, get out of your head, drop in and just feel into your heart. And I find that a really quick, easy, powerful way to just reconnect with myself and to maybe shift. Just sometimes we just need to get out of our head. So how was that for you guys? Type in the comments, type in the chat. Let us know how that landed for you. How's that feel? Does that feel like something you might be able to continue to use? I do that one a lot.
Yeah. Well, I have slept like this since I was in third grade.
Wow.
I just figured that out the other day. I was like, oh my God, I've been doing this since I was in forever.
It's natural, right? When we're upset, it's like our hands are like our hands go there automatically.
Exactly. When you say something that hurts my heart, my hands go right there. And I'm like, all right, it's all right. It's all right.
And you guys, you can just do that short version of that too. Just even like, I mean, I do all kinds of different like guided meditations, whatever I feel like is inspired that wants to come through in the moment. But, just even just 3 breaths, like put your hands on your heart, drop down and just breathe into your heart. Take 3 breaths and just feel into your heart. Come back to the truth of who you are, because all the limiting beliefs, all the stories, they live in our head. They live, from here to here. So that's one of the main ways that we can just start to release all these patterns. Is just know, like, you're not your story. There's good reasons why we have all these patterns, and it's okay. And we don't need to hate ourselves for it. We don't need to beat ourselves up for it. We just need to know, like, it's just not the truth of who you are. And we can learn how to be gentle with ourselves and get the tools and the support we need to be able to really process and release all of that. But dropping into your heart and just really reconnecting with, aside from all the stuff that we have in our head, just know, like, that's the truth.
And since I'm the only one here to be able to report in real time, when we began, I'm managing the chat and the Zoom things and all the things here. And, I'm very, and I realized I was a little anxious actually. And as we settled in and as you kept talking, and then I could feel the beat of my heart and you started talking about self-love. And I like to imagine that the love dub is, I love you. I love you. And I realized that I was just on the other side of, actually, I could be anxious and nervous about all the things, or I could be excited like a 5-year-old to be with someone who I love and respect, and to be in a conversation that is just brilliant. And so, yeah, but if I can't identify where I am at the moment, I don't ever get to see that there's a 5-year-old under there too.
Yeah, that's why if we're willing to just even once in a while, like a period, like once a day, take 90 seconds and just drop in. What do I feel? Where do I feel it? Put your hands there and just hold that. Be present, just to be present with ourselves. Um, that's really powerful. There was a quote, and I forget who said it, but he said, all the world's problems are a result of man's inability to sit quietly in a room by himself.
Yes. And, they did very interesting research a few years ago where they gave people the opportunity to sit quietly by themselves or to give themselves painful electric shocks.
Oh my God.
Guess which one they preferred?
The shock? Are you serious?
Yes. To your point.
Wow.
Yes.
And I would say, like, I know it's not the easiest thing for me. Like, I have a lot of resistance. I'm a lot better than I used to be, but I have a lot of resistance to just like to sitting meditation and quieting my mind and just being with myself. But I know we're going to wrap it up in a minute because we're running long here, but I remember a time where I was just learning how to do Tai Chi and Qigong, which is another a modality that I bring. But I started doing this these classes, and I had no idea. Like I'm like, wow, like I'm not even in my body. I live from like here to here. I'm not even in my body. And so, yeah, so just, even just taking that time to just notice, oh gosh, what do I feel? Where do I feel it in my body? And just putting your hands there and just giving it's almost like a hug for yourself, like an internal hug, and just letting yourself feel however you feel. That's actually the beginning of that part of that inner freedom process. So now you have two powerful tools. What do I feel? Where do I feel it? Put your hands on your body and just be present. No agenda to fix it, change it, make it go away. Just being that loving presence for yourself. And so hopefully that's another tool you can
And
use.
you talked about how when you're coaching, things happen. And I think this is the beauty. And this is, for my individual coaching clients, often they'll remark at how much transformation they're getting. And I was like, and that's a product of being able to sit one-on-one with you and someone who is there holding the container for you
Mhm.
to be where you want to be.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And one of the things that I love also about being a coach and being coached is it isn't just a regurgitation of the past. We've all done plenty of that.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, take inventory of where we are now, connect that to what it came from, and then what would you like next?
Mhm.
Who would you like to be by the end of this session? That's what I think is brilliant.
Yeah. And
Different at the end of every session.
it's healing. And sometimes, it's usually layers, and it's like a spiral where we keep moving up and up and up on the spiral as more healing happens. But you definitely can't become unaware of what you become aware of. So it is, I like to say, a permanent transition, a permanent healing. So the progress, there might be times where we fall back into the patterns, and I'm constantly noticing. But that's the key, is that we are going to default under times of stress. We are going to default to those old patterns. But the key that I have now is that now I have enough awareness to just notice, oh, there it is. We're doing it again. And now I can have the power to make another choice, use my other tools, and make another choice. And
You
I
have
don't
another
have to beat
option.
myself up for it. I can approach myself with gentleness about it. Oh, look, there's that part that's doesn't feel good enough. Here she's up. Because why? Because we're feeling scared, because we're trying to expand out of our comfort zone. And anyways, I know we could talk for hours, but yeah.
Yeah, I always like to finish with this question because I think that it is a powerful healing for all of us, for the person answering the question and the person witnessing the answer. I'd like you to take just a second and connect with your 20 or 30-year-old self, maybe pre-marriage. And now imagine that you're writing a letter to this beautiful soul. And you have some advice or some encouragement, some inspiration, some wisdom to share. What would you share with that young woman?
I'd say, beautiful, sweet Risa. You, you're a beautiful spirit. You have so much to share. You're loving and you're lovable. And you have great gifts to be able to offer people. And just know that you're loved beyond measure.
That gave me chill bumps.
Mm,
Loved beyond measure.
yeah, you're important, you're worthy, and you're loved beyond measure.
And my wish is that everyone would feel that way about themselves.
Mm.
And I know that you have a really exciting opportunity for people to get more in relationship with themselves. And so would you give us a little heads up about what's coming up?
Yes, I'm happy to be able to share with you. Next week, I'm doing a free 3-day workshop. It's just an hour a day for 3 days, the 3 keys to get the love you want. And so day one, we're really gonna take a deeper dive into all of this, but we're gonna talk about the secret to creating healthy, fulfilling relationships that last. And that's going to be powerful, and how to really connect with ourselves in the way that we want, so we can be the love that we are seeking and that we want. And day two, we're going to take a deeper dive into these patterns and sort of identifying what are the patterns that are running for you, and talk a little bit more about how can we start to release some of them. And day three is just I call it repair it or repeat it. And so just learning a little bit more about how we can use those triggers as treasures, so that we don't have to keep repeating the same patterns again, and how we can really come into good, right, loving alignment with ourselves, so that we can feel empowered to make the choices that are right for us in our relationships, and really create the beautiful, loving relationship that we want with ourselves, which is where it all begins. Right? We all hear that. You got to love yourself before you can love anyone else. Well, that's true, but how do you do that? So we're going to be taking a much deeper dive into all of this. It's going to be really uplifting, empowering, enlightening. You're going to come away with a lot of practical tools. So I'm really excited to share with everybody. If you're unhappy in your relationship now, or you're looking for new love, come on over, I know we're going to put a link in the comments, so click that link and definitely come on over and join us.
Yes, and you will, even if you show up not feeling like you're necessarily at a struggle moment, you have struggle moments because you don't have the relationship you want, or you're feeling unhappy, which, as Risa just told us, is a clue that maybe something out of your life is not in alignment there, your self-love. You will benefit. These are, quite honestly, these are the kind of really good common sense, basic life skills we should be teaching in school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it really translates to all our relationships, because when we're in right relationship with ourselves, then we have the capacity to show up and, be a more positive force for all our relationships. Yeah.
I appreciate you for
Mhm.
being such a positive force, for
Mhm.
being willing to take your triggers and turn them into treasures, because there is a little bit of an alchemical feat that has to happen for that to change.
Mhm.
And for helping the rest of us get in right relationship so that we can be in relationship with others.
Mhm.
So I'll make sure that everywhere this is, stay live on Facebook, and we'll put it on YouTube, but you will have some way to get in touch with Risa. And you can always just type her name in the Facebook bar search and send her a message.
Mhm.
So thank you so much for sharing your beautiful self and wisdom with us. From my heart to yours, I appreciate your time and your generosity.
Thank you so much. Mwah. Thanks for having me.